all of you who are at home or on the road or wherever you're taking the time to watch this webinar tonight. We're going to cover hopefully everything under the sun about McIntyre admissions and the pre-commerce advising. As Haley said, my name is Pierce Cowder. I am the director of undergrad admissions at McIntyre. So direct that office and the application process, and happy to kick things off with some advising tips for you. And we'll go over all this, of course, in summer orientation if you make it in person, but it's good to hear multiple times if you come here. If you can't make it in person and you come see us in the fall for advising, of course, we'll go through all this. But the main takeaway you'll always hear from me from any info session, whether it be this one or later in the summer or in the fall, is that everyone at UVA should be able to connect with commerce coursework, no matter what ends up being your major. So we want to make sure that there's a lot of different options. The major might be the one that you're here attending this webinar because you're interested in, but you might discover a lot of different combinations towards studying business and, of course, other things during your time at UVA as an undergraduate. And we're here to make sure that you can fit all of that into whatever you design to be your academic experience at the university. So certainly McIntyre offers that BS in commerce, that is the commerce major. We'll get into the details of that in a second, but I want to make sure you also know that we have 4 minors: entrepreneurship, general business, leadership, and real estate, as well as other coursework that you can take just as an undergraduate without being in the comm major or any of the minors. You can do one of our micro courses, which are some asynchronous business essentials, essentially, that you can take throughout any part of your 4 years. Add those to any degree, get a little finance, a little management, a little accounting, etc. Towards any degree would be very much applicable. And then, of course, we've got student organizations that you can get involved with on ground. So there are over 20 of them. They're commerce-related student orgs. They, of course, recruit and are made up of students of any major. There's no specific major prerequisite to be in these. You can get involved with them right in your first year. So, of course, before you even declare a major, you can start getting involved with these organizations. We also have pre-experienced graduate degrees as well. So if you wanted to do an undergraduate program, stick around for a 1-year program in accounting, a 1-year program in commerce or global commerce, those are options for you to add to, say, a liberal arts degree or science degree, of course. So lots of opportunities to study business or commerce while you're at UVA, but the most popular is certainly the major. So if you want to do undergraduate business at UVA as your major will be commerce here at McIntyre. You may have heard that students before you were in a 2-year program. You as incoming first years are the first class to be in a 3-year program. So if this is news to you, welcome to the new news that McIntyre is a 3-year program to you. But if you had siblings or friends who have done McIntyre and older than you, they're in a little bit a program that's organized a little bit differently. But being a 3-year program, that means that you're going to apply at the end of your first year to start McIntyre's program. As a second year, you do your second, third, and fourth years at McIntyre. Same 4 years at UVA as every other undergraduate, right? But first year in arts and sciences, or one of the other schools, usually arts and sciences, and then 3 years at McIntyre if you're going to do the commerce major. So the commerce major was really built around their integrated core experience, which of course you may have heard in if you've had friends or family members go through the program, and that's not changing much at all. So that's still going to be built around cohort-based block schedule that really does a good job of running all the different introductory coursework and topics that you see listed here on the screen. So via a faculty team that's actually going to teach you in a team environment through a team of topics, you're going to get some basic background starting info in strategic management, systems, IT, marketing, communication, finance, everything you see listed there. Even if you know exactly what you want to do in the commerce world, you're going to take all of the stuff you see listed here during the integrated core experience as part of a team of around 50 students. So you'll be assigned a block. You'll be in block 1, 2, etc. Your block's going to take academic work that covers all those disciplines there, and also work with employers that come to our undergraduate students and say, okay, here's some basic info on what we're looking for. We're treating you as essentially a consulting team, and we want you to come in and respond to some problems and questions that we have. Hilton, for instance, has come to a recent block and said, we're trying to recruit more Chinese nationals who are touring outside of Asia. This is a particular population that we feel like we could do better to recruit to stay at Hilton properties. How should we go about this? Could you research for us different strategies? What are our peers doing? What should we be more efficient with in our advertising, et cetera? So again, you're treated as a consultant organization as part of this undergraduate experience, no matter if you have no idea what you want to do with a business degree, or you know exactly that you want to do marketing or finance or anything that you see listed as an available concentration or track in commerce. This integrated core experience is going to be the same for you, and you're going to work with a team of students and a team of faculty, but a team of students who have all those different types of goals and interests and strengths and skills, much like the workplace after you leave your undergraduate experience is going to be a team of people with different skills and interests, et cetera. And so this is a pre-professional design. The reason we do this is because you're going to be graduating from our program with a lot of skills that put you into the workplace with a leg up. You could say, I don't need the background in things that I didn't major in or didn't specialize in. I've already worked with employers. I've already been beholden to stakeholders who are corporate executives, right? And it's an attractive thing to say as a skill set you've built in your professional resume, in addition to, of course, a strong academic resume. So no matter what you want to do, you're going to have this integrated core experience. That's going to set you up to be successful, right? As a professional. This, I think, a big reason why McIntyre is very highly ranked is because of that already known quality that our students are graduating because of this integrated core experience. So certainly we're very successful at putting students into the places that they want to be, whether that be graduate school or a professional experience after their undergraduate 4 years. So I've mentioned that everybody majors in commerce. When you major in commerce, you pick at least one concentration. So the things you see listed on the screen, accounting, finance, IT, management, marketing, you're going to pick one. You can pick two, but you're definitely required to pick at least one. Again, no matter which one of these or multiples of these that you pick, you're going to have the same integrated core experience, but this is where you're going to start to flesh out the rest of your schedule in your third year. Second year, you're going to be mainly focused on a building block type of coursework. But in your third and fourth year, really building out these concentrations. And so if you want to come in and do accounting and finance, even if you have that type of combination, your available courses that you can build into these concentrations is still pretty long to choose from. Pick and choose. Okay, I'm very particularly interested in this type of elective with accounting, or this type of elective in marketing. Point being, you might have a combination of two things with the tracks or concentrations that matches with your buddy, and you still end up in very different coursework. You're going to work with advisors to pick across all these different listings, and of course talk to our professional advisors in career services. Maybe pick and choose coursework based on that, based on what you want to do after school. So I mentioned tracks as well. You can think of these very similarly to concentrations, but as optional ways to pursue a more concentrated coursework in the third and fourth year. If you want to do strategic brand, consulting, communications, or promotions track, entrepreneurship, quantitative finance, real estate, global commerce, or business analytics, all of these are optional, but things that you can add to one or two concentrations. So you could do one or two concentrations in a track. You could do one concentration in two tracks. You could do a concentration, a track, and a minor or major in arts and sciences. Your path through McIntyre is going to be really individual to you, and you're going to have advisors who talk to you about that individual path. So while everybody is taking that integrated core experience, the coursework outside of that experience is going to be very individual and unique to your goals. And again, we do have 4 minors. So if you don't end up doing the major, you could do one of the minors. When you apply to the major at the end of your first year, if you don't get into the major, then you know, okay, well, I can add the minor to something arts and sciences. 3 of these do have applications. They're not very competitive. We just want to see that you've taken the prereq course for the minor and then are in good academic standing. That's entrepreneurship, leadership, and real estate, and you apply to those in your second year. So you'll get the news about the major, then you'll be a second year, and if you didn't get into the major but you still want to pursue one of the minors, you have time to work on the application to that. The general business minor doesn't have application. You can just declare it, so easy enough to follow those prereqs and add the general business minor to your major of choice in arts and sciences. So when I say prereqs, each of the minors only has one prereq and they're individual to that minor, but here are the prereqs for the major. There are only 3 of them, and this is what you're going to want to make sure that you fit into your schedule, whether it be in the fall or the spring of your first year. We have no preference between any of these, just make sure you take them in the first year. It's perfectly normal to be in 1, 2, or even really all 3 if you get all 3 of them in the spring semester at the time of your application, because we're not going to review your application until after spring grades are reported. So when you apply at the end of April, you're going to show us that you've taken the prereq courses, but we're going to say, okay, well, what else should I take during my time? Well, of course, you can take your engagements if you're in the engagements pathway. You could work on other graduation requirements, other broad liberal arts courses, but when you have graduation requirements to finish by the time you graduate your undergraduate experience, right, it might be beneficial to pursue those as a first year as well. World language, of course, is the biggest example of that, because if you're starting from scratch, that's 4 semesters of world language ahead of you. Again, not to get into McIntyre, but to finish by the time you graduate from McIntyre. So we would recommend pursuing world language. If you're interested in other recommendations, you could take one of your quantitative courses as well. But really what you need to focus on is just taking a full course load in the fall and spring and making sure that across the fall and spring, these 3 courses are covered. Now, if you have placed out of any of these via AP, dual enrollment, IB exams, etc., that's perfectly fine. If you place out of Econ 2010 and that shows up in your SIS report, you're good. You don't need to take it to impress us or anything like that. We don't want you to take it if you have already fulfilled this. That frees up a space in your schedule in the first year. All right. So my last slide is just the contact info, and then I'll get into the questions for Q&A. Come see us in the admission office at McIntyre. Make sure you sign up for COM 1800 as well, whether that be in the fall or the spring. That's going to be both a prereq for the major, but also the prereq for the general business minor, and introduce you to, again, a lot of these different opportunities to pursue business as part of your UVA experience. The application is due at the end of April. It is run via our website. It is not run with any part of the application process that you just went through. You don't need your high school transcript or anything like that. It is just pulling the courses you take from SIS, the grades you get in those courses, and then 3 short essays. So we'll go over those essays during advising, but the application will be open early in the fall, so you'll have plenty of time to work with them. And of course, plenty of time to come talk to us about that application as well. So keep in mind these 3 prerequisite courses when it comes time for your course registration, and then get involved around grounds. We don't have a list for you of things that we're looking for you to do. We're just going to try and get to know you and who you are in this first year of your undergraduate experience. And one of the questions is, what skills and experiences essentially are you bringing to the McIntyre community? We'll go out and build some skills and have some experiences. So that's my last piece of advice, is to explore the many different, whether it be student organizations or part-time jobs or whatever takes up your time and energy. Go out there and be very active in your time at UVA in that first year. You're going to, of course, discover when you get here, if you haven't already heard, UVA is a very hyper-involved place to be. We'll take advantage of that for sure and get out there and get involved. So I'll start with the questions that I can see in the Q&A focus and go from there. We've got plenty of time, so use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I think I'll stop screen sharing here so that I'm bigger on your screen as I answer these questions, and we'll go from there. Will we work with one corporate sponsor case for all 3 years, or we get through many? So you'll be able to, of course, connect with different corporate sponsors and corporate recruiting events during your time at McIntyre, but the integrated core is just one corporate sponsor. So that's a semester-long experience with one corporate sponsor officially through that. How competitive is enrolling in COM 1800? You will get into COM 1800 in the fall or spring for sure. There's so many more sections this upcoming year because of this. We want to make sure that everybody who wants to take it is able to take it. So if you have any issues with that, reach out to the faculty, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with the faculty. But you shouldn't have any issues enrolling in COM 1800. Is world language a McIntyre prerequisite? No, it is not. It's something you need to take by the time you graduate. That's why I recommend signing up for world language, but it's not a prerequisite whatsoever. The prereqs, again, are COM 1800, your first year writing requirement, and Principles of Microeconomics, which is Econ 2010. Com 1800 appears to be full on CIS. Will more slots open during summer orientation? Yes, many, many, many more sections of Com 1800 or slots and sections of Com 1800 are opening up in CIS throughout the summer. What is the acceptance rate for McIntyre applicants? So we enroll 400 students every year into a cohort. 365 of those usually are the internal, what you would be an internal applicant. Most recently, the acceptance rate, because we're capped at that, just depends on how many people apply. So if we enrolled 365 last year, just over 700 people applied, so acceptance rate was about 50%. If fewer people apply, the acceptance rate goes up. If many more people apply, acceptance rate will go down. I would anticipate a similar amount of people applying. So right around 50% for the major. Again, that is a competitive thing, so we do want to make sure that you know that there's not doing the major doesn't close any doors on pursuing business at UVA or getting in touch with employers or working in the internship in the field that you want to do. It's a very common story to do something in arts and sciences in one of our minors and still go out and do the same type of post-grad academic or professional job experience that you're looking for too. All right. Can you apply to 2 schools at once, like commerce and data science? So you get one. Yes, you can next year fill out the com and data science applications. You'll find out your answers to those. If you get into both, then you can make that choice. But you can't do both. So you would have to choose between data science and commerce, but absolutely you'll be able to apply to both. And you'll find out before any commitment deadline. We're working with data science to make sure that both remain options, and then if you get into both, then you have the choice to make there. It's the opportunity to apply to another 3-year school if you don't get into commerce. Yeah, you would want to make sure you're following their application deadlines too, so that you data science being the biggest example, because I believe other upper division ones you would apply to as a second year. So can students from the School of Architecture or the School of Nursing apply? You are welcome to apply no matter what school you're in, as long as you take those prerequisite courses. I said arts and sciences because that tends to be the majority of our applicants. It's certainly the easiest one to make sure you sign up for all our prereqs, but absolutely you can apply from any school that you choose as long as you take the prerequisite courses. At what point in our time in McIntyre do we choose concentrations and tracks? So something I did talk about it to great length was the advising. So you were assigned an advisor right away, both an academic advisor, but also you get our career services advising. So you're going to work with your academic advisor as soon as you get into comp. And through that first year, you won't really declare the concentration until your 3rd year, but you can definitely talk to people and start planning it out earlier than that. And you'll have plenty of time to work on whether it be one concentration, one track, or any combination thereof. All right, so what math section course you recommend? Please be honest. I'm nothing if not honest through every webinar, every orientation, I promise you. I would take in a math section course, we do have some, I would say if you are very much interested in finance, particularly the quantitative finance side, I would lean towards calculus for sure. I know statistics can be helpful. We have a math course that is part of the 2nd year curriculum that you will take that's going to cover the skills that we're looking for across that sort of combination of statistics and calc. So neither is an issue that if you don't have statistics or calc. Truly, you're going to fulfill that QCDA literacy, one of them by taking our course that combines those. If you are really interested in quantitative finance and you already have a background in calc, I would say maybe the next level of calculus, like a Calc 2, might help you out down the road, but it's not like an admission prereq or anything like that. I'm just trying, I've heard faculty say that about that specific track there. So the QCDA literacy is required of you to graduate from the university require 2 courses. So you're going to take one automatically as a 2nd year in McIntyre. What we're saying is you might as well take another one if you have a spot in your schedule, because then you're just dealing with a gen ed graduation requirement that you can knock out as a first year and not worry about later. So it's not a recommendation like take the QCDA because it's going to help you get in. It's just going to free up time in your schedule down the road. So truly, whatever math sounds interesting to you. If you're looking for calculus, I would take the calc placement test in the math department and go with whatever level that they recommend there. I promise you through this review, do not hold what level of math you're in as any matter of importance or weight in the application process. What is my background in commerce? That's a great question. It is directing the undergraduate admissions process. My background's in higher ed. I've worked at UVA for 12 years. 12 years. 2 of those at McIntyre, and the 10 years before that in the undergraduate admission office, the experience you just went through. So I have a higher ed student affairs background and a long career in admissions, but I've never taken accounting. I am not a business or commerce major. I did go to UVA and I was a history major, so I love the College of Arts and Sciences as well. But thanks for asking. Is it possible to do pre-med at McIntyre? Yes, it very much is possible. So pre-med advising is very available to anyone at UVA. You can go to the main career services office at UVA for pre-med advising or pre-professional advising across anything, pre-law, pre-vet, pre-whatever you can come up with. You can go talk to them and you'll see that pre-med at UVA isn't a major. So you could be a commerce major and just be pre-med. You could be a commerce major and add something from arts and sciences if you wanted, like chemistry or biology or something like that, of course. But to be pre-med at UVA is really just to take the pre-med coursework, calculus, organic chemistry, whatever it is that med schools are looking for. Of course, preparing for the MCAT, building a resume that med schools will look for, but it isn't a major, so you don't need to worry about declaring a second major. So it's very easy to be a McIntyre student and still knock out those pre-med prereqs for med school down the road if you so choose. Do you have to complete gen ed requirements if you're an Eccles scholar in McIntyre? Yes, you do. You don't have to do, say, like engagements if you're not in the engagements because you're at Eccles, but once you get to McIntyre, you still have to do the gen eds required of everyone of the College of Arts and Sciences to graduate from McIntyre, even if you are an Eccles scholar in Arts and Sciences. Would only the grades of prereqs be considered? No, all the grades will be considered. So we want you to take a full course load, 15 credits or so, in both in the fall and spring semester. And we're going to look at all the courses. We're going to look at all the grades. So certainly take a full course load and get strong grades across all of it. But it is a competitive process, so the grades are important across the board, I would say, for sure. Of next year's second year students and incoming first years are both applying to the comm school at the same time. Does that mean that there's now twice the competition for the same number of seats? It does not mean that, because we are enrolling next year 400 incoming third years. So next year's second years are applying for 400 spots to do the previous type of curriculum, as well as 400 incoming second years, so the pool that you'll be in. So we're running 2 different admission processes. They do not overlap in timeline. The second year to third year application cycle is going to happen before you apply. So you'll hear some of this throughout the year, that the second years have applied to January, and they're going to be third years when you're second years. So 2 sort of simultaneous application cycles, but there's no competition between them. So you will be a first year applying for a second year spot, and same number of spots in both timelines there. Does the McIntyre application consider activities done before stepping on UVA grounds? Yes. So for you as a first year applying, the essay just says, what experiences and skills are you bringing to McIntyre? Tell us about anything that you want, essentially, right? So you could talk about stuff you've done the summer before coming to UVA. Of course, you could talk about stuff you've done at UVA. You could talk about stuff you've done in high school. Any of that is applicable if it is the applicable answer to you, and you want, things you want the admission committee to learn about you. Absolutely right about it. The comm cohort decision. So if you got an email inviting you to participate in the comm cohort, we're collecting all those. It's pretty early in that process. There's not a hard deadline for when we'll notify that, but certainly well in advance. So if you got that invite and want to be in the cohort class, just make sure you keep that Tuesday afternoon open in your schedule that you saw in the email that I sent you. So yeah, I hope you're interested in the commerce cohort, and we'll be in touch later in the summer about it. How realistic is it to double major with commerce and something in arts and science school? Very realistic, very popular, very doable. I would say the one caveat to my enthusiasm about that is a lot of McIntyre students have a plan to double major, and then they come into McIntyre and they learn about all these different concentrations and tracks, and then they change their mind and pick up more concentrations or tracks in McIntyre. So their interests might change. Well, I have no preference, of course, either way, but yes, it's very, very doable to double major between comm and arts and sciences. When do you find out if you're accepted? So So you will find out in the middle of June, right about a week from now will be next year's date. So you'll apply at the end of April, you'll find out in June, and if you're admitted, then we'll change your schedule for the second year to make sure you're doing that. Does AP credit count towards the econ requirement? It does if you got the test score that UVA rewards for that exam. So make sure you're checking that table on the registrar site. But yeah, AP, IB, dual enrollment, etc. all fulfills whatever it fulfills if you're awarded credit for it. Will COM 1800 prereq be broken down alphabetically for enrollment as in the past? No, it will not. No worries about your last name. Take COM 1800 in the fall or spring, whenever you would like. There should be plenty of space in both semesters to take it. When is the best time to study abroad in the Commerce School? It's a great question. Studying abroad is very popular at McIntyre. I would say the best time or the most popular time is the spring semester of your third year. You absolutely can do it in the fall semester of your fourth year as well. So those are my two answers. However, you could also do January term abroad, May term, summer programs as well. So we do have a lot of abroad offerings through McIntyre specifically as well, including those third year and fourth year semesters. You can do, say, the third year spring, and that covers the rest of your integrated core curriculum in that spring semester abroad. You would not be able to study abroad fall third year because you're going to be in our mandatory integrated core experience. Do any classes McIntyre fulfill the general education requirements so that we don't have to take in our first year and can wait to fulfill the requirement? Yes, including that quantitative course that I was discussing, a mandatory course in your second year in McIntyre will be a QCDA course. There are other examples as well. Is Stats 2120 going to be part of our second year curriculum in McIntyre? It is not. There's going to be a course that covers some of the stats and some of the statistics. You are welcome to take stats, of course, if you want to use it as your second QCDA course. How will the application consider leadership roles compared to previous years since the timeline is much shorter now? Yeah, it's a good question. I think we understand what the timeline is going to be. I think leadership roles are great, but there's no real expectation for students to be out gaining leadership roles in organizations that held the the elections for those leadership roles before they got there. I don't think there's going to be any expectation that you have a leadership role in a UVA CIO. But again, you can talk about anything that you want. CIO means club or organization at UVA, if you haven't learned that acronym yet. But yeah, if you want to talk about something you did in high school and had a strong leadership role, that's perfectly applicable. Same with if it's a organization you're very passionate about that you've just joined in your first year at UVA, and of course don't have a leadership role yet, but you are dedicated to. Both of those are very, very, very applicable. What are some good clubs to join to help boost chances of getting into McIntyre? Whatever clubs are interesting to you, you're going to see these 3 essay responses or essay questions, and I would say when you look at them and you look at our website and see what we're looking for, right? What do I want to get involved in that's going to help me tell people I haven't met what I'm going to bring to the community at McIntyre? So people at McIntyre who haven't met you are going to try and get to know you through very little amount of information, but there isn't like a ranking system to the type of organizations. We have absolutely no expectation that you be in a business related club or organization. Certainly that's popular if you want to. We're not going to tell you not to, of course, but if you want to be in athletics or in an arts club or work a part-time job or anything is just as good as being in a club that's related to business as well too. So there's no rankings, no scoring or preference there. Why did UVA change the program from 2 to 3 years? The answer, as you can imagine, has a lot of moving parts, but basically boils down to 2 big issues, which was better alignment with our peer institutions. A 3-year program tends to line up more with other upper echelon bachelor's degree business programs across the country, and it really helps out the recruitment timeline for multiple business industries, including finance, where students were caught interviewing for internships before they even were able to get into McIntyre. So that will change this. That'll help people say, okay, I'm interviewing for this internship. This is my major. So streamlines the interview schedule for a number of different types of fields in business. So every pre-commerce student gets 2 chances of applying to McIntyre second year and third year. No. Next year, we will be running 2 different application programs because this is the first year that we'll be offering a 3-year program for you. Your class applies as a 3-year program, and everybody younger than you who comes to UVA after you will be applying to join the 3-year program. Next year will be the very last class of people applying to the 2-year program. So this current first year is about to be second years. The rising second years are the last group of students applying to McIntyre's final 2-year program. So in subsequent years, there will be no more 2-year program. So yeah, everybody gets one opportunity to apply to the McIntyre program. You reference it important to be taking a full course load. What is considered full course load? So like I said, 5 classes, around 15 credits. If you have engagements, that throws things off to about 16 credits. That's perfectly fine. If you take less than that, only 4 classes, you absolutely could still be admitted, but I would say that would be not as competitive as a more fleshed out course load. So I would say look at the engagements as 1 class together and take 5 full-time courses. Around 15 credits is what our expectation is. When will we get access to the 3 essay questions on the application? In October, so sometime in the fall for sure. Yeah, I don't, because we're running 2 simultaneous ones, I don't know the date off the top of my head when we'll have it open for you to submit the application, but we will have the essay questions published in the fall for sure. A recommendation letter is part of the COM application. They are not. All it is those 3 essay questions and your SIS account grades and coursework. So that's it. No interviews, nothing else. Do you consider the first year GPA? Also, will you consider high school GPA? Just your college work. So we don't see your high school GPA. We don't see your high school transcript. We don't see your Common App that you applied with or your high school. It's all fresh, brand new people who don't work in that office will be reading your application. So nothing about high school, unless you talk about what you did in high school in one of your essay answers, which is absolutely fine. But we're not going to see any of the materials that you submitted in your high school application. And we don't care what your grades were. I assume they were great because you got into UVA. It was really hard to do. So, I'm sure they're fabulous, but you're sort of on that same standing as every other fabulous student who got into UVA. Another question, if we took dual enrollment and have a college transcript before coming to UVA, do you look at that? Only if you took one of these that was a prereq. It should be in your SIS account that you have credit for that, but we wouldn't look at the transcript or anything because you took it as a high school student. So we'll see that you fulfilled it via dual enrollment work, and that's fine. Other stuff, I guess we would see anything that on your, it shows up as like transfer credit, but we're not going to see grades with that, I don't believe, in SIS, just the transfer credit.
Awesome. Well, that
Cool.
looks like the end of the questions. Pierce, can you give just one more time an email that folks can contact if they have any further questions?
Absolutely. You are welcome to email me, and my email is just my last name, Cowder@virginia.edu. You can see how it's spelled on the screen, but you can also, of course, email commerceadmissions@virginia.edu. I should mention we have a whole team of student ambassadors who are in the comm school. They do walk-in hours, they do advising hours, they do Zoom advising. You should engage with them as well because you're going to be able to learn more about the commerce experience, what it's like to be a student in that program from people who are in the program. As I detailed, I was not a graduate of the Commerce School, so I can't tell you what it's like to take accounting. So come talk to our students who are very happy to talk to you as well.
Wonderful. Well, Pierce, thank you so much for being here. A huge shout out to the McIntyre School of Commerce for helping us out with our Wednesday web series. Thank you all for coming this evening. The recording of this webinar will be posted on our website within the next week. If you have any questions about anything orientation related or just becoming a new student at UVA, please feel free to reach out to us as well at orientation@virginia.edu, and we can either answer your question or direct you to the right place to find those answers. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.